Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. I'm getting over sickness, but I am super excited to be going over this brand new Cyclops from the animated series. Now, the box art on this one is Dan Veesenmeyer. And if you don't know Dan, he's worth a good follow on social things. With reviews on this channel, we always start with an overview of the box and everything that's inside of it. Then we look at details, articulation, and posing. Then we round it all off with a nice rating at the end. So without further ado, let's get into it. So Cyclops here from the animated series. The packaging is really spectacular. It really pulls that likeness from the animated series. And one thing to know about this new packaging, right, is that they go with this plastic free. This is the key way to do it, right? You can do plastic free where it's just like a picture of the thing on the front and they don't look as good. This is how you do it. The whole box itself is a work of art. Now I have those boxes up there and only like 2 of them actually have figures in there. The rest are just empty boxes because I'm here to collect the artwork. I love it. So of course, an overview of the box art itself. We have, of course, the drawing from Dan. We've got this comic book style logo up here in the corner for ages 4 and up because there aren't any small parts. Then we have choking hazards for 3 and under. And then of course the plastic free packaging and the Hasbro logo. So on the back of it, we've got a shot of the actual figure. And as you can see, you do get this cell shading paint work on here, which is looking actually really good on Cyclops. I'm really liking where they actually did the shadow work in this one, but we'll see when we open it up because, yeah, the yellow, I'm not really that much of a fan. But we get a little bit of information about who Scott Summers is, and then all of the stuff that none of us care about. What is all this? It's so many different languages. So we got blah, 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 blah. Stuff we don't care about. We got the side of the box. Looks like a VHS boom on this side as well. Noticing that that Cyclops faces the front of the box no matter which side you're on. Allows you to line up your VHS collection however you want. So you can have heroes versus villains or have them all in line with each other. And then on the bottom, we've got some plastic-free packaging again, and includes figure and 3 accessories. What accessories are they? Because they're not optic blasts. I already know that, and I'm really bummed about it. So let's get it open and see what's going on inside. Huh. So inside these boxes, you have this typical thing that comes with Hasbro, at least everything that I've seen so far, that just kind of reiterates everything that's on the outside of the box. All the different languages, the warnings. We've got his accessories, which would look like 3 hands, and then Cyclops himself. So I'm a big fan of this packaging, not only for the artwork, but because it's easy to deal with. And most importantly, it's better for the environment. So that's it. Cyclops has 3 accessories. They're just 3 hands, not even 4 extra hands. You get 3. That's it. Very simple. He's got 2 left hands and 1 right hand, and then a couple fists that come by default. But quick overview, he's looking really nice. I'm liking this mold. The sculpt work and everything on this is really nice, but I don't have any other Cyclops to compare him to as far as like reusing stuff. But from what I've seen on the other figures, the heads are always a new sculpt for the animated series, which is good. So let's get into details. So looking at Cyclops here, he's got his classic look from the animated series, of course, but he's got the cell shading. That's what they're doing here to try to look like the animated series, which looks pretty heavy on the right side of his body. So they're all through here on both legs. But then if you go this route, no cell shading that you can really see. Of course, there's a little bit right there, but yeah, so you can kind of go this way with some heavy shading, this way without, so depending on how you want to display him. And then his backside is pretty much completely clear of having any cell shading. Now, one thing I'm really noticing already is that articulation is going to be awesome on the Cyclops. He's got these, like, I don't know what you call this, like a butterfly style articulation in the shoulders. It's just really cool. I haven't seen a Hasbro figure with that yet. Of course, I've kind of slowed down on collecting their stuff because not always that impressed. Unfortunately on mine, he's got that little spot on his nose that is missing paint. But we've got a little bit of paint work in the face, the lips, and then the red in the visor. And then just a little bit of paint work throughout, aside from the obvious cell shading. So pretty simple, not a lot going on. It's really just comes down to like the typical work with Hasbro's, that they're sculpting work is really nice. Like you get all these things going on with his belt pockets and stuff. And I am glad that they didn't put any kind of stamp on the body like they did with my Rogue. She's got like some print down the side of her leg. So on his feet, Marvel 2021, Hasbro, and made in China. Boring! His hands, let's see, let's check out the sculpt work there in the hands. The hands look great. Like the detail in there, they got like veins and everything. What I always notice with Hasbro, the sculptors are awesome. And the final hand there, the kind of just open. So that's it. I mean, not a lot to talk about with this figure, so we can just kind of bust through it. So the next thing is we need to talk about articulation. And with this Cyclops, I think we're gonna have a little bit more than I would have expected. So we'll start with the head. We can do a full rotation. Obviously you can see that exposed joint on the neck there, which means he can look down really well, and he can look up like nobody's business. That is incredible. Does he have any side to side? There's a little bit of wiggle in there, but not necessarily like meant to be articulation. But I'm really satisfied with his his range. I mean, it's almost too much, but that's great. So the arms, of course, we'll start with the T pose. The rotation around the shoulder, it does rotate. It's just a little harder to do because there's rotation here at the bicep as well. In, out, rotates, bicep rotates. He's got double jointed elbows, which are incredible. He's got another rotation around the wrist. I wonder why does, so that seems a little strange to have this seam right here, but it doesn't rotate. Like, why couldn't that be one piece? That's odd. I mean, I would assume then at that point that they're just cutting down on how many pieces they need to make for other figures, and they're just like, you could probably find at least, if not the whole section of the arm, at least this forearm, you'd find it on other figures. So they're just cutting down on production. Because if you have limited mold options, you can just exchange parts and build new figures, which is definitely something Hasbro loves to do. The wrist has full rotation, and then as you can see here, we're gonna get like a nice 90-degree bend in and out, which is great. So that's the arms. We've got the additional stuff going on here in the shoulders. So the shoulder blades have these like extra articulation, which seems strange. I mean, does this come from some other figure, some other like sculpt that has this that would really benefit from that kind of movement? I guess we'll find out when we get into like the posing stuff, but yeah, he's got more articulation than you would really need from him. Full rotation at the waist. We've got this ab crunch, which you can see this kind of cut, the square cut here. So he's just crunches forward and backwards, which gives him some really nice movement. The legs, so he can go about like, what, 70% splits. You can rotate him here at the upper half of the leg and kick all the way forward. And then can't really go backwards much because these like kind of diaper designs or whatever you could call them, it has the limitation there, but that's okay. I don't need the legs to go back really. But yeah, so the rotation of the upper half of the leg. We've got double jointed knees. Love it. We've got rotation around the calf muscle. Again, a lot of split seams going on here. You can see there's a seam here at the yellow band. There's two seams at the yellow band here. So the ankles can go almost straight down and then kind of somewhat upwards. The articulation is odd, but it allows you to get some nice dynamic poses and keep their feet flat on the ground. This is great. I'm actually a big fan of the articulation on this figure, and he looks really good. The only thing I don't like about it is the brown striping here for the cell shading, but the rest of it looks really good. I'm a big fan. So let's pop a hand off there. So he's really got this one if you're gonna try to activate his thing, which he doesn't always need to do. Apparently, sometimes he can just blast without touching his visor. I don't understand that. That is a good looking figure with crazy articulation, which means we just jump right into posing. right, so that's it. That's Cyclops. And you know what? This is a great item. I am a huge fan. This is so far my favorite one out of all of the VHS collection for the animated series. I think it looks really, really good, and the articulation is unbelievable. Better than what the women get because of their hair, I guess. Whatever. So of course, when it comes to rating Cyclops, we have to start with the details. And the details, I'm gonna give a 4 out of 5. Really, because he doesn't have an optic blast. I think that is a huge missed opportunity, considering a lot of the figures come with so many accessories, like Mystique has a little baby Nightcrawler in it, and we can't even get an optic blast out of this. They've done it before in other figures for Cyclops, so why not now? And it's on the freaking front of the box, man. So he is lacking in accessories big time. But otherwise, that's gonna give him a 4 out of 5 on details, because he does look great and like he's right out of the animated series. Which brings us to articulation, and articulation on Cyclops is next level. I can't even comprehend all of the joints that he's got. This is incredible. So articulation, that's a 5 out of 5. Double jointed elbows and knees, plus the shoulder blades. Like, this is fantastic. This is a perfect articulation. And that brings us to posing. And posing was great. It was fun, but without optic blast, you really feel like you're missing out. You could do a lot, but he doesn't really have like weapons to pose. It's just like, I'm gonna touch my visor. Now I'm not gonna touch it. And then I'm gonna just stand here. I don't know. So you can do a lot with posing, but there's nothing there to do it with. So how do I rate that? So I'm gonna give him a 4 out of 5 because you could pose a lot, but he does need something. Come on, how many times can I say it? Optic blast, we need it. And I don't think there's any way to use the molds from the other figures, the other versions of Cyclops where he had that. It would be great. But is this worth the price? Yeah, absolutely. This is a beautiful item. The box art alone is worth it, in my opinion. That's why some of those are empty, but get it while you can, because during the holidays this year, a lot of the VHS sets sold out because they had some promotions and they're gone. You can't get most of them anymore, if any of them at this point. So get it while you can, and then let's hope that Dan gets to come back soon, because they are on pause for this series for a little while. But hopefully he gets to come back and finish it up with a lot of our favorites, like Gambit and Rogue. Come on. How can you get this far and not have them in it? And if you enjoyed this review, then watch this one here, because it's also one like this. So there you go. That's good enough reason, right? And we'll see you next time.